Your fear is not a sign that you're doing something wrong. It's often a sign that you're standing exactly where your life is about to change. Right now, there is something you know you need to start. A decision, a conversation, a step forward, and every part of you feels the weight of it. Your mind lists the risks, your body tightens, your imagination runs ahead and shows you everything that could go wrong. And the most dangerous thought whispers quietly, what if I wait a little longer? Fear of the first step has ended more callings than failure ever did. Because before you fail, you hesitate. Before you fall, you freeze. And that freeze feels safe, but it is slowly suffocating you. The Bible never hides this reality. Some of the greatest moments in Scripture begin not with confidence, but with fear so real it shakes the ground beneath the people chosen to move. Joshua knew fear. Not the abstract kind, but the kind that presses on your chest when responsibility lands on you without warning. Moses was gone. The man who spoke to God face to face. The leader who stood between the people and disaster. And now Joshua stood at the edge of the Jordan River, staring at the promised land he had dreamed about for decades. On the other side were fortified cities, trained armies, and unknown battles. Behind him were people watching his every move, waiting to see if he would lead them forward or hesitate and lose everything. God did not say to Joshua, "Do not feel afraid." He said, "Be strong and courageous." And that distinction matters. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is movement in the presence of fear. God did not remove the danger. He did not weaken the enemies. He did not promise an easy crossing. He promised something far more unsettling and far more powerful: His presence. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. That was not comfort designed to calm Joshua's emotions. It was truth designed to move his feet. This is where many people misunderstand God. We expect Him to erase fear before we act. But Scripture shows a different pattern. God often allows fear to remain because fear reveals what we rely on. When fear disappears, we move in confidence. When fear stays, we move in trust. And trust is what transforms us. Think about your own life, the job you haven't applied for, the creative work you keep postponing, the conversation you know you need to have, the calling you sense but keep delaying because you're waiting to feel ready. Readiness rarely comes before obedience. It usually follows it. Joshua didn't feel ready. The Jordan River was flooded. The timing was terrible. The pressure was immense, but the command was clear: step forward. And something extraordinary happened only after the step was taken. The water did not part while they stood on the shore. It parted when their feet touched the edge. Movement came first. Miracles followed. Fear often demands guarantees before action. Faith moves without them. This is the internal conflict most people live in without naming it. You want certainty, but life only offers direction. You want safety, but growth requires exposure. You want God to show you the whole map, but He gives you a single step. There is a hidden danger in waiting. It disguises itself as wisdom. You tell yourself you're being patient, thoughtful, responsible, but underneath, fear is quietly negotiating terms. Just not now. Just when I'm more prepared. Just when the risk is lower. And slowly, opportunities pass. Momentum fades. And you begin to wonder why your life feels smaller than your dreams. Joshua could have waited. He could have sent more scouts. He could have asked for more signs. But obedience delayed is often obedience denied. The moment demanded action, not analysis. Here is the deeper truth most people miss. Fear is not your enemy. Fear is information. It tells you where you care deeply. It reveals where something meaningful is at stake. The problem is not fear itself. The problem is letting fear decide. God's promise to Joshua was not success without struggle. It was presence without absence. I will be with you wherever you go. That means in uncertainty, in resistance, in moments where your hands shake and your voice cracks and your plan feels fragile. God does not wait for you on the other side of fear. He walks with you through it. This changes how you start. You stop asking, how do I get rid of fear? and start asking, who am I trusting while I move through it? You stop waiting for confidence and start practicing obedience. Confidence grows in motion, not contemplation. There is another quiet detail in Joshua's story. God tells him to meditate on the law day and night, not to hype himself up, not to visualize victory, but to anchor his mind in truth. Fear feeds on imagination. Faith feeds on remembrance. When you remember who God is and what He has already done, fear loses its authority to define your future. You may not be crossing a literal river, but you are standing at a threshold. And thresholds are uncomfortable by design. They separate who you were from who you are becoming. Staying where you are feels familiar, but it costs you the life you were meant to live. The first step will not silence fear. It will expose it. And that exposure is necessary, because every time you move forward while afraid, something inside you learns a new language. The language of trust, the language of obedience, the language of courage built not on feeling, but on faith. Joshua stepped forward and history shifted, not because he was fearless, but because he refused to let fear be the leader. That same choice is in front of you now. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need complete clarity. You need the willingness to move while trusting that God's presence is enough. So act, not because you feel brave, but because you are not alone. Step forward while your heart is racing. Speak while your voice trembles. Begin while your hands shake. God does not wait for fearless people. He walks with faithful ones. And remember this when fear rises again, because it will. The presence of fear does not mean God is absent. It often means He is inviting you to grow. If this spoke to you, subscribe for more stories that strengthen your faith and move you forward.